In every scandal, there is always one moment when the story stops being about truth and starts being about survival. This is one of those moments. Because what began as a messy, whispered rumor about a journalist and a politician has now spiraled into a full-scale demolition of reputations. Careers are collapsing, marriages are cracking, and a single vulgar term from Urban Dictionary has somehow become the centerpiece of a national conversation. A term so specific, so bizarre, that it now threatens to overshadow an entire generation of political gossip. At the center of it all stands Olivia Nuzzi, a young reporter who never imagined that she would become the headline instead of writing it. Surrounding her are Kennedy heirs, wounded ex-lovers, opportunistic writers, and a Hollywood actress who may have climbed too high to climb back down. This is not a love story. It's a power story. And everyone is losing control.
When the journalist becomes the scandal. Olivia Nuzzi was never supposed to be the headline. She was supposed to be the one writing the headlines, sharp, ambitious, and endlessly curious about the private failings of powerful men. But ambition has a way of bending the rules, especially when the journalist begins stepping into the stories she's chasing. Her career was rising fast. New York Magazine adored her. Washington insiders feared her. She had access, intuition, and a gift for making the powerful nervous. But somewhere along the way, Olivia crossed the line that separates the observer from the spectacle. She didn't just cover politics. She entered it, emotionally, romantically, even dangerously. The memoir was the first warning sign. Instead of protecting the distance required for journalistic integrity, she dismantled it. She wrote openly about her relationships, her impulses, and the men who shaped her career. It was marketed as honesty. In reality, it was a neon sign flashing, "I'm part of the story now." Then came the New York Times piece, the second warning sign. A story that should have been neutral, measured, and responsible became muddled with personal entanglements. It blurred the line between professional reporting and private desire. Once that line dissolved, everything else followed. Her relationships with men like RFK Jr., Keith Olbermann, and Ryan Lisa added fuel to a fire she could no longer control. These were not casual connections. They were power exchanges, emotional leverage wrapped in political relevance, and every one of them left a trail. When the scandal finally erupted, Olivia reacted like someone surprised to be caught, but not surprised the flames existed. Because deep down, she always knew one truth. Once a journalist lets herself become the story will eventually consume her.
Cheryl Hines, the woman who climbed too high to climb down. To understand this scandal, you first have to understand Cheryl Hines, not the actress, not the celebrity, but the girl who once slept in a crowded room in a Florida trailer park. One of 4 children, no private bed until high school. A life built on doing the best she could with the little she had. That background matters, because when someone like Cheryl marries into the Kennedys, America's unofficial royal family, the climb is not just emotional, it's social, it's generational. It's the kind of ascent that rewires your sense of what is possible and what is now too terrifying to lose. Becoming Mrs. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wasn't just a romantic choice. It was an upgrade few Americans ever experience. The Cape House, the political power, the legacy, the mythos. The Kennedy aura is intoxicating and brutally sticky. So when the Olivia stories surfaced, people asked the obvious question: why doesn't Cheryl leave? but they underestimated the psychology of climbing out of poverty. When you have fought your whole life to reach the top, you don't step away because of one mistress, one scandal, or one humiliating headline. Besides, Cheryl believed him. She believed Olivia was unstable. She believed the same narrative that Kennedy men have used for decades. When a mistress becomes inconvenient, call her crazy. It worked before. Why wouldn't it work now? But there's another truth Cheryl won't say out loud. Leaving RFK Jr. wouldn't just end a marriage. It would send her sliding back down a ladder she spent 40 years climbing. And sometimes, the fear of falling is stronger than the shame of staying.
They want revenge. It begins with Olivia B's, whether out of heartbreak, humiliation, or the simple desire to reclaim power. She moved like someone determined to make RFK Jr. answer for the way he erased her. He told people she was unstable. He denied the intimacy. He dismissed her as a fantasy. For a young journalist who made her living exposing the truth, that denial wasn't just painful, it was infuriating. Then there is Keith Olderburn, a man twice Olivia's age when they were together, a man who gave her money, shelter, influence, and believed it meant devotion. When she left, he reacted like a wounded emperor, not a former partner. Every interview, every cryptic reference, every insinuation from him felt less like journalism and more like a personal vendetta wrapped in moral outrage. Ryan Lizza joined the chaos next. He used the scandal like a marketing strategy, a Substack gold rush. Each post positioned him as the guy with exclusive insight, but it was really another shot fired in a long war of bruised egos and professional rivalries. RFK Jr., meanwhile, played defense the only way a Kennedy knows: deny, discredit, and shift the narrative. For him, Olivia wasn't just a threat to his marriage, she was a threat to his political ambitions. And Cheryl, silent but visible, stood in the emotional crossfire. Her role wasn't revenge. Her role was endurance. Together, these people formed a circle of emotional gunfire, each person convinced they were the one who had been wronged, each person determined to make someone else pay for it. This wasn't a scandal anymore. It was a shootout without bullets.
The business of scandal. Who's making money? If you strip away the emotions, the jealousy, the humiliation, and the theatrics, this scandal leaves behind one undeniable truth: everyone involved is making money. Scandal, after all, is not chaos, it is commerce. Start with Ryan Lizza. The man practically turned heartbreak into a subscription tier. His Substack became a pay-per-view arena where readers could watch him dissect Olivia, Keith, and anyone who drifted too close to the blast radius. Every messy detail translated into new subscribers and new income. Then look at the podcasters, commentators, and media outlets. They speak in tones of moral outrage, but the numbers tell a cleaner story. Scandal coverage means clicks. Clicks mean ads. Ads mean profit. And in a digital landscape starving for attention, the Olivia RFK saga is pure, high-octane fuel. Olivia herself isn't innocent in this economic ecosystem. Her memoir, her essays, her leaks, they're all content. They all sell. Even her downfall, ironically, is a product. She has become a headline, a hashtag, a meme. She lost her credibility, yes, but she gained something else: perpetual visibility. And in modern media,
visibility is a currency with no expiration date. RFK Jr., meanwhile, benefits in his own way. Scandal keeps him relevant, and relevance is essential in politics. It shapes polling, it drives conversations, it keeps donors curious and journalists circling. For a Kennedy, staying in the spotlight is half the game. And hovering behind them are the platforms themselves: Substack, YouTube, podcasts, each earning silently from the spectacle. In the end, the moral outrage is free, but the entertainment value, that part is monetized by everyone.
Felching, the key word that erased a career. Every scandal has a symbol. Some have photos, some have videos. This one has a word. A word so specific, so grotesque, and so painfully niche that it should have remained inside the deepest corners of Urban Dictionary. Yet somehow, felching has escaped that dark basement and marched straight into the cultural bloodstream, with Olivia Nuzzi involuntarily dragged behind it like a broken parade float. It's almost unbelievable. A decade of journalism, high-level interviews, political access most reporters could only dream of. And still, her entire public identity has been flattened into one bizarre kink term she didn't even create. This is the brutality of the internet. It does not care about your resume. It does not care about your awards, your experience, or your talent. It cares about keywords, especially the kind that can be turned into jokes, memes, and searchable content. For Olivia, felching has become that keyword. Commentators repeat it for shock value, podcasters savor it like a punchline, critics weaponize it as a symbol of her poor judgment. Supporters wince every time that appears in a headline. The tragedy is not simply that the term exists, it's that it now competes, and often wins, against her entire body of work. One screenshot, one leaked message, one grotesque phrase, and suddenly her career is no longer defined by political reporting. It is defined by a meme. In a different era, a scandal like this might have faded, but in the era of viral humiliation, the internet never forgets, and it never stops repeating the parts that hurt the most. Sometimes a single word can bury a lifetime.
No one is innocent, and no one truly wins. When you step back from the noise, the insults, the interviews, and the leaked messages, a clearer picture begins to form. This scandal was never just about Olivia. It was never just about RFK Jr. or Cheryl or any of the men orbiting the story like bitter satellites. It was about power. Who has it? Who wants it? And who is willing to destroy themselves to hold on to it? It was about class, the climb from a trailer park to a Kennedy mansion, and the terror of losing everything you fought to reach. It was about ego, bruised, inflated, weaponized, and dragged into public view. And it was about the modern machine of fame, where even humiliation is monetized, and everyone becomes content. In the end, no one emerges clean. The journalist became the scandal. The politician became the punchline. The actress became the prisoner of her own success. And every person watching became part of the cycle that keeps it all alive. This isn't a love story. It isn't even a tragedy. It's a warning. In the age of viral reputation, the truth doesn't destroy people. The spotlight does.